Broadcasting furry truth and opinions from a small comics box and secret. This is Furry Frequencies. Hello and welcome to Furry Frequencies, where we host your favorite furries on the highest frequency, and that is the furry frequency. I am Lifty, and joining me on the podcast this evening is Silox.
Hey, how's it going?
And tonight we are back to talking about what everybody on furry Twitter has been talking about the past couple of weeks or so, and that has to do with donut cacti. They are back in the news, and the furries are mumbling about them again. This time because they have sent a cease and desist, and it's not going well. People are taking the hot piss out of donut cacti over this. So so we're going to be taking a little ride as to what is going on with donut cacti. What are they doing? Why are people mad? And what is going on? And we're going to try to piece together what is going on along with our analysis. And because we're going to be talking about legal stuff here, I just want to start off with a disclaimer that, first of all, neither Silas or I, nor this podcast Furry Frequencies, or any staff or guests, etc., that are involved with Furry Frequencies, none of us are legal advisors, legal experts. None of us are lawyers. So please do not use our show as legal advice. If you need to discuss matters pertaining to the law, please consult a legal advisor and get some legal advice from a legal professional, not from us, because we certainly do not want our episode to be brought up before a judge and a defendant or plaintiff has said, well, you see, Your Honor, we heard this podcast where these two idiots were talking about blah, 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 blah. No. We're just a bunch of idiots that like to yap about furry stuff, okay? We are not legal professionals. This is not legal advice. Thank you. So, with that said, let's begin talking about DHC. So this is actually a follow-up to what we were talking about with regards to donut cacti a while ago. Remember the episode Shit Furry Say and Do? We were talking about Lucky Coyote, Scruff Coyote, and donut cacti. People were understandably mad after a dossier about 71 pages was released, detailing a lot of very, very disgusting behavior by Lucky, and of course Scruff kind of like either covering it up for Lucky or trying to encourage more of it, and it involves a lot of things like grooming, rape, possible zoophilia. These are very, very, very serious allegations, and the most shocking thing about it is that you had over 70 pages. I'm just going to say over 70 pages of allegations of people actually giving their allegations of wrongdoing by Lucky and Scruff and DHC, and it wasn't just one person. It was like 9 or so people that all just collaborated on this Google Doc and put their testimony into this Google Doc. It was an eye-opening experience, and it was just unbelievable. And of course, that was a few months ago, and things have been quiet about that recently until a couple of weeks ago, when news broke out that Donut Cacti was aware of the allegations. Well, actually, they were aware of it back then too, right? They had to.
They've been aware. No, they've been aware, and they were doing damage control. trying to clean up their image after everything had dropped. It was only until last week when they issued a cease and desist letter against, I can never pronounce her name, Quittens?
No, Cutins. Yeah.
That this whole controversy was thrust back into the public eye. Because
Yeah.
before that, it sort of, I guess, died down and was kind of kept to those in the whole DHC sphere of things. But once Cutins brought it back into light that, okay, DHC had issued a cease and desist letter and was likely preparing to move forward with legal action against them because of a post that they made. That's when everybody's attention turned to Don't Hug Cacti.
Yeah.
And from there, it's just been not really good for them.
Yeah. So, so back to this cease and desist. I'm looking at this, and not only that, but of course, Don't Hug Cacti. They made an official statement on their Twitter account that says, "Our company has recently become the subject of online attacks after a few individuals had a personal dispute with one of our affiliates. These extreme false allegations became more flagrant and embellished each time they are repeated on social media and have escalated to harassment against our team members. We will not tolerate attacks against our employees, affiliates, or customers, and will be seeking legal recourse. We're exploring all of our legal avenues to address these attacks." So let me address this. Because nobody liked this. So Don't Hug Cacti says that the company has become a subject of online attacks with a few individuals after they had a personal dispute with, quote unquote, one of our affiliates. Okay, pause the tape for a minute. Don't Hug Cacti. Let's be real here. This is against Lucky. This is against Lucky Coyote. And let's be real here. This isn't just one of your affiliates. This is the fucking owner of your damn company.
Exactly.
So why don't you do everybody a favor and just say that? Just say it. Don't try to beat around the bush when we know better. When you know you're not making things any better by just using weasel words like this. So so of course people were just like taking the piss out of this stupid statement here, because of course it was weasel. It's full of weasel words. It's full of weasel words trying to make Don't Hug Cacti good and trying to distance Don't Hug Cacti away from Lucky and Scruff for whatever reason, even though we know better. We know that Lucky and Scruff are the owners of the company. And while they're not making all the suits, they certainly are handling all the money. So yeah. And then on top of that, they sent a cease and desist. They must have been sending a cease and desist to Cutins after they were looking at their bottom line and figuring out, hey, why on earth are we losing money? Because, why on earth would you go so far as to send the C&D if if your business is not failing from this? Like, think about it. And
Exactly.
yeah. So they must have had some fire being burned under their ass for them to finally get up and contact this Mink law firm that is actually an online law firm for reputation defense. So, pretty much anybody who wants to defend their reputation can go to Mink Law Firm to Mink Law, MINC, and then just file a claim. And then, and if you pay the money, of course, they're lawyers. You got to pay money to have their counsel. And you sign a few paperwork, you figure out, who are you directing the C&D to, you pay the money, and then they send it to you. That, they handle the rest. That's Mink Law Firm, pretty much. But But here's the problem with all of this. Of course, Cutens took to Twitter to announce that hold on a minute. I want to get their pronouns right. Hold on. Okay, so I'm guessing okay. There we go. Yeah, they them. Okay, so they are. So they were sent a CND. Okay, Cutens was sent a CND, and of course, Cutens took to Twitter and announced that they were served a CND from Don't Cacti. They put up a tweet that says, "I have been sent a cease and desist from Don't Cacti over this tweet." And of course, the tweet is the 70 or so page dossier that they didn't even see. This is what's even more bizarre. Cutens didn't even contribute to the the dossier.
No, so what they're doing is they decided
they were just spreading it around.
No, but not that. What DHC is doing is they decided to pick on who they perceive to be the weakest link and go after them to put pressure on them. That's why they did it. Yeah. The problem is Cutens is not backing down. They are holding their ground, and it seems as if they're preparing for a legal fight. So DHC didn't just randomly choose someone, on the internet. No, they knew exactly what they were doing. The problem is for them, it seems as if they're in for a fight. But Cutens was not the original offer of this dossier that was put out against DHC.
No. I mean, they were basically putting together a beware on Twitter about what DHC did to many people. That was in a dossier that was traumatized by Lucky or Scruff Coyote, or they weren't one of the victims. They were just somebody that was putting together this dossier and spreading it on Twitter, letting people know, hey, Lucky is doing this, and she shouldn't just get away with it.
Exactly.
And so now Cutens is being served the CND, not the people that are in the dossier, most of which have put their story in the dossier anonymously. So, good luck trying to figure out who's who. And so they were served a CND, and in defense, Cutens put out a GoFundMe and made a fundraiser for $10,000. They met their goal in under 24 hours. They met their goal in under 24 hours. They're still apparently they are still collecting donations for this legal fight. So let me see. Going back to September 25th, 2020, Cutens posted, I am posting on Twitter, I'm posting this document on behalf of the victims. The following is a collection of testimonies from concerned fandom members regarding Blonde Foxy / Lucky Coyote and her pattern of grooming and abuse. We ask that you please read it. Please note that I am not a victim of Lucky, but have been helping the victims come together to make this collection of testimonies. This is not done out of malice, and we ask that you do not harass Lucky or anyone defending her. It is simply to make others aware of her behavior and hopefully put an end to it. If you yourself have a story to tell, please contact blondefoxyconcerns@gmail.com. And there it is. So Cutens states months ago that they weren't traumatized by Lucky. They just decided, I'm guessing that they were in touch with a bunch of people that did not like Lucky, and of course were traumatized by Lucky. So they got to getting all of these people together to put their stories into a dossier so that it can actually be preserved and actually read by others. And also, I don't even know if that dossier can even be brought up in court. It's interesting that, you know, it's a 70 or actually it's longer than that now. But yeah, and and so from there they just decided, you know, okay, you're gonna be my target. So DHC sends a cease and desist to Cutins, and of course DHC got a very, very, very salty taste in their mouth when they unleashed the Streisand effect upon themselves doing this. Now, what's interesting about this is that Mink Law Firm, which is the law firm that they have used to issue this CND to Cutins, stated the Streisand effect on their website. It says here, Streisand effect refers to a 2003 attempt by Barbara Streisand to suppress online photos of her beachfront Malibu residence by suing the photographer who took the photos and the website where they were published. Unbeknownst to Streisand and both her attorneys, the photographs of her home had only been viewed 6 times, 2 times by her attorneys, before the filing of her lawsuit. Her lawsuit, an attempted suppression of the photographs, ultimately received national attention and became a viral sensation online, garnering more than 420,000 views, accomplishing the exact opposite of what she sought out to do. Simply put, sending a cease and desist letter can have unintended consequences and turn your small or non-existent issue into a much larger one. And of course, that did happen with DHC when Cutins went to Twitter to post about the CND. Of course, they tweeted it as a retweet with a comment to the original tweet that had the dossier on it. So everybody that was just like going, "Hey, what the hell, Cutins? Why is this happening to you?" is reading the dossier and getting informed on what Lucky did way more than if they just let it go. So congratulations, Lucky, you just played yourself. DHC, you just played yourself. And of course, a bunch of people have been announcing their disgust for DHC, for Lucky, for Scruff Coyote, for anybody involved with DHC, for anybody that is planning to get a DHC suit from here on out. And even people have been selling their fursuits on the dealers.
That's the thing. People are taking it to that degree and just selling them.
Yeah.
Like it's really weird to see, but people are that fed up with what Don't Huck Cacti has done. And you can't really blame them because this did not need to happen at all.
Absolutely not. No. And I I really think that DHC just does not have a case here. And I'm thinking that if Don't Huck Cacti, so first of all, what you have to realize is with a CND, a cease and desist, there is the initial announcement of the cease and desist that's delivered to the recipient, basically telling, if you don't stop this, we're going to sue the pants off you. Okay. But it has to be done with a follow-up to that to ensure that the initial CND is complied to. So if there is no follow-up, the CND is practically null and void. You know, the judge would probably look at it and it's like, well, you didn't follow up, so you don't care. And then there you go. There goes the case. But I also think that, I mean, what is the case that that Blonde Foxy or Lucky is trying to put or pin onto on Cutins? Is that they're trying to blame Cutins on that they lost money because of these allegations because of Cutins, or what?
I exactly don't know. I think in this case it has to be an either defamation of character or something along the lines of libel or
Yeah.
slander. It's one of them.
Well, you brought in libel, and I've been reading a little bit, and like I said, as we said earlier, I'm not a legal professional, so I'm not a lawyer. So don't take my words as gospel here for the law. But in my opinion, from what I've learned and from what I've read online about cease and desist and libel cases, cease and desist on the basis of libel is credible when the statements are demonstrably false, and if even after they have been proven to be false, the parties knowingly spread it. So here's my question to Lucky. How on earth do you plan to demonstrate to a judge that all of these allegations of you grooming minors, of you having or you wanting to or touching minors inappropriately, all of these allegations of you having inappropriate relations with your pets, how do you plan to demonstrate to a judge that they're false? That's going to be awkward as fuck, isn't it? Think about it. Like, what can she say to a judge to convince the judge, yeah, this is false? What can she say? I'm not saying that they are 100% true.
Yeah, we're not saying that.
I'm just saying that they're not 100% true, but I'm not saying that they're 100% false either. I'm saying that it is now up to Lucky to prove that these allegations are false. You've got 9 different people saying almost exactly the same things in that dossier. It's over 70 pages. And they're all saying pretty much the same thing. So what does that tell you about those 9 people? And this is against your word, Lucky. So, I mean, so this is what I'm saying. There is a good chance that if this case is true, or if DHC is planning to take this to court, there's a good chance that that it might be thrown out. It might not even reach the judge's bench.
There's an excellent chance that happens.
Yeah, I mean,
but
that'd be funny. I mean, imagine spending all this money on legal representation, the money on the C&D, and it gets thrown out of court because of lack of evidence or whatever. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, and you can't tell me that this was just some kind of one big conspiracy amongst 9 people to just target DHC. Like it doesn't.
And that was
it doesn't work
9
that way.
people. It was 9 people, I think, back when we read the dossier back in September, and we covered it on a podcast. It was 9 or so people. It was unbelievable, mind blowing, just how many people were coming together to put their story out there about their encounter with Lucky. And yeah. So, and some of those, and you know what's even funnier is that, or even more interesting, is that some of the statements that were made in that dossier were also backed up by screenshots, both in Telegram and Discord. Like they had a Telegram channel, and they had a Discord channel that they were communicating with, and of course, Lucky said some very questionable things in both, and so all of this was screenshotted, and a lot of it was posted onto that dossier. Hence why it was 70 or so pages. Because yeah, it's not like they're just like plucking all of this out of thin air. This is stuff that is backed up. at least some of it is backed up by Telegram or Discord screenshots. So again, I'm asking Lucky, how on earth do you plan to demonstrate to a judge that what is being said in this dossier is false if they can back it up with screenshots? Like, what I'm saying right now is that the allegations against Lucky might be 99% true. There is that 1% of doubt, but it's 1%, and Lucky is fighting so damn hard for that 1% of doubt and hoping that 1% of doubt grows.
Exactly.
And I'm just like, all this money spent on legal representation against this, and of course, look what it got you. Your brand is trashed. Like, you have people that are saying, if you support DHC after this, don't talk to me as a friend. If you order a DHC fursuit, you commission DHC after this debacle, I don't want to know you. I don't want to see you. I don't want to acknowledge your existence, because you're supporting a pedophile. You're supporting a zoophile. And, they're not wrong. They're not wrong. There is no way that you can go through the furry community and be this ignorant of what is going on, especially when so many people are talking about it and spreading their opinion about it. There is no way you can remain ignorant about this. There's no way that you can just cast this off as, oh, this is just furry drama, and then just, not deal with it and still support DHC and whatever. You've got people that were over the weekend were looking at the tags of DHC and cutting them off.
Yeah,
cutting them off and throwing them in the trash. And there are, of course, some fursuiters that somehow had the option of having the DHC logo glued onto their fur. I don't know why this was ever an option, because that just looks, that to me, that sounds very, very tacky. Gluing on a logo to the fur of a fursuit. And then people were like looking at it and saying, hey, how can I get this off? And people were saying, oh yeah, you can get this off with rubbing alcohol, blah 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 blah. So that's just to illustrate just how tarnished the DHC brand is. DHC it used to be a very well-renowned fursuit maker within the fandom. It was pretty much up there with Made for You and Mixed Candy. Yeah, it was definitely up there among some of the best fursuit makers in the community. And I even think that they were featured on the Furries documentary by Ash Coyote, right? You remember seeing them?
I think
they were. Yeah, I think they were.
Yeah.
So they were very well known within fandom. And then we get this dossier that we've read, that many others have read, and suddenly we're seeing Lucky just flying too close to the sun and not even giving a fuck, and thinking, oh yeah, I can keep going, without actually realizing that, yeah, your wings are melting. So yeah, eventually the fall from grace has to happen, and once you hit the higher you go, the longer the fall will be, and the harder the fall will be when you hit the ground. And but already what we're seeing is that Cutens has pretty much collected $10,000 in a little under 24 hours to fight this C&D, and And on top of that, their reputation or DHC's reputation as a fursuit maker is just completely in the toilet. I think
it is ruined.
Yeah. Remember when we were talking about DHC, the future DHC after the dossier, and wondering, if their brand can survive can survive this? Do you remember talking about that?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did talk about that.
What was your opinion?
I think we came to the conclusion that DHC, the brand is so big that it will survive. This isn't just some run-of-the-mill fursuit maker, and of course, no disrespect to the small fursuit makers. We're just saying
it is one of the biggest ones in the furry community, but
at the time we said that the brand was so big that it could survive this and still continue. Now, as we look at it, I don't know if that's the case. This is the situation has certainly gotten more dynamic as time has gone on. And now because you have a lack of good public relations, you're seeing it manifest into a way that I've not seen before when it comes to a fursuit maker. When people are actively saying screw the crew and they're selling their suits, they're burning off the logos, they're trying to take them off. I mean, that says a lot. And the name is now tarnished and synonymous with someone who has been accused of allegedly grooming minors.
Yeah.
So there's no way you can come back from this. Like, unless Lucky just comes out and says, yes, I did all this. I'm sorry. I'm going to step away from the fandom and take a hiatus. I don't see them coming back from this.
No, I don't either. I think back then I was cautious about the brand and thinking that they would need to somehow sell the brand to somebody else, maybe another owner, to just scrape together any last hope of the brand still existing past this. But now that I'm seeing this, it's just like, no, this is no. I mean, I think that they might just rebrand themselves and just go off as somebody else, some other brand. They're not. They can't call themselves Don't Hug Cacti anymore. But yeah, I think that DHC, for all intents and purposes, is pretty much done. Lucky Coyote, done. Scruff Coyote, done. They're persona non grata in the furry community now because of all of what is going on. And of course, they're making it worse with this DNC or the C&D. And I hope they're learning that they're not making things any better for themselves. And, they've got, and while Cutens has raised a lot of money for representing themselves against this, they've got the upper hand here because it's up to Lucky to demonstrate in the court of law, if they want to go through this, that what Cutens is saying is false. And as I said before, a lot of what was said in that dossier is also backed up by Twitter screenshots or Telegram screenshots, Discord screenshots. And a lot of it was very damning. A lot of it backed up exactly what they were saying about Lucky, and it's not good. So now that Lucky just started this mess, they've got to clean it up. DHC's got to clean it up, and you know what? CNDs are usually sent to intimidate And you usually hear about them from like a major corporation like Nintendo. Nintendo is very, very well known for issuing C&Ds. Anytime there's like a fan project out there regarding Super Mario or any of their properties, intellectual properties, they quick about sending a C&D about it. They nip that in the bud incredibly quick. And not only that, Nintendo has pretty much an army of lawyers on retainer. They can afford to sue your ass to the ground. What can DHC do? Do they really have the money to play this game, to play the legal game like this? I mean, I really wish that we had a lawyer on retainer. I know we had a lawyer in one of our past episodes, but we of course couldn't have him on quickly enough. So it was just us and our dumbass opinion. But yeah. I mean, yeah, this is not looking good for Lucky Coyote, for Scruff Coyote, for DHC, and of course they've lost the court of public opinion. By doing this, they have completely lost the court of public opinion, and DHC is going to suffer severely after this, unless by some way, shape, or form they somehow jettison the brand to somebody else and hope that they can be successful with it. And Lucky and Scruff, they kind of just distance themselves from the fandom and realize that they have completely fucked up. There's, unless they do that, there's no hope for DHC. And for all intents and purposes, the fandom does not care. The fandom doesn't want anything to do with DHC. It's a tainted brand. Lucky is tainted, Scruff is tainted, DHC is tainted. They don't want anything to do. People are actually trying to distance their own suits that they bought from DHC away from DHC. They're cutting off the tags. They're removing the logos. They're actually putting censor bars over the watermarks on their photos that they are posting on the dealer's den when they are selling their suits. They're selling their suits. Like, there's nothing wrong with the suits. They've worn them about 1 or 2 times, but they're on the auction block again.
This is very real. Like,
yeah,
this isn't, people aren't doing this just for theater. Like, this is real. This is really happening.
Not theater. This is not theater. This is real. This is real. And this is, and then the furry community is acting swiftly and with great vengeance against one of the largest and most well-known fursuit makers in the fandom. And again, it is not because of any malice or because people hate Lucky or people hate DHC. It is because Lucky and Scruff have been tangled up in a myriad of very, very disgusting behavior, and they shouldn't get away with it. They shouldn't be allowed to get away with it so that they can torment somebody else, so that they can have another victim on their hands, so that this cycle doesn't repeat over and over again. So we're not looking at this like a missing stair problem like we have for so many other people. I don't know if we ever talked about the missing stair, but that's definitely applicable in the furry community. But so this is DHC's problem to fix. This is DHC's mess to clean, and I don't even know how they're going to clean it. I really don't, because they've lost the court of public opinion. They're probably going to be losing this case if it ever goes to court. I can't imagine what kind of case would be possible if if you can't demonstrate that the allegations are false. You can demonstrate that there's damages from your stupidity and your bad behavior, but I mean, that's on you.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So this is going to be interesting if DHC decides to go to court over this. then this is going to be interesting, because I really don't think they have a case. I think it's going to be thrown out before it hits the judge's bench. And you know what? It's going to be some sweet, sweet schadenfreude if that happens. Because, lawyers aren't cheap. Lawyers are not cheap. Legal representation is not cheap. Taking a case to court is not cheap. Sending somebody to court over this is not cheap. And they're looking at thousands and thousands of dollars just being burned away in the court system, that they're not going to recoup, no matter how many fursuits they can manage to sell in 2021. But yeah, and DAC needs to realize that they're not Nintendo. They don't have all the money in the world to have an army of lawyers on retainer to keep this going on for as long as possible until they fucking bankrupt anybody in their way. So I don't know what their end game is.
Here's the thing, though. I don't think anybody feels sorry for them. I mean, they brought this on themselves. So
no. Nobody feels sorry. Nobody feels sorry for DHC. Pretty much many more people who weren't aware of what Lucky was doing or what DHC was doing are now aware. All because they decided to serve a CND to Cutans who first just distributed the allegations. They didn't actually put any allegations themselves. They distributed the allegation.
Yeah.
And there was a quiet period for a while. Once that all died down, there was a quiet period. But then all of a sudden, DHC got to fire up their ass or something. I'm guessing their 2020 numbers were not good. People weren't buying DHC suits anymore, so they were probably wondering, like, what the hell is going on? And then they're like, okay, so we need to put a stop to this. Blah 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 blah. We need to get some lawyers. We need to go after Cutans. Well, okay, here you go. Here's your bullshit case. You've got the court of public opinion against you, and you're probably going to get the court of the law against you too, because you can't. I mean, you're going to have to read through all 70 or so pages of that dossier and determine what's false and prove in the court of law how that's false. And yeah, I certainly would not want to be in that prosecution. I would not want to be the prosecutor trying to figure out, how is this claim of zoophilia false? How is this claim of grooming minors that's documented here in this Discord screenshot? How is that false? Interesting times we're about to head into.
Yeah, no, the times are changing.
Yeah.
So, nobody feels sorry for them. And if you do feel sorry for them, you need to reevaluate your priorities, because what they're accused of doing is heinous and disgusting. And there's a lot of evidence out there that
we're not here supporting cacti. We're not supporting what they're doing. They certainly made a mess. And basically with CND, they didn't bother to fix anything. They just decided to throw some kerosene under the dumpster fire. So yeah, congratulations. And I know for a fact that they do not have the capital in any way, shape, or form to continue this legal fight. So I don't know why they started in the first place.
Because they assumed that they could intimidate someone who they perceive as weak and not being able to put up a fight. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, that wasn't the case. And now it's coming back to bite them in the ass.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's going to be very interesting to see what unfolds from here because, like I said, I think that this is greatly in Cuten's favor. And I really don't think that Lucky or Scruff or DHC has a case. I just don't think they have anything. And if Lucky's listening to this, first of all, I want you to read the dossier that you are saying that is false. There are plenty of people that are pretty much saying the same thing. And you're telling all of them that they are liars. That everything that they are saying, even if they are all saying the same thing, you are saying that they are all liars and this is all coordinated against you. Why would so many people be against you? Why would so many people be against DHC?
Exactly.
I mean, you and your company enjoyed riding high as one of the most prolific and largest fursuit makers in the fandom. So many fursuits in this fandom are made by you. And there's so many that to this day, there are like local clubs that are only for DHC suitors. You used to have the daily DHC as a hashtag on Twitter. You used to have, you remember in 2019, back during MFF, there was during the menagerie, they had a group photo of just DHC suitors. There is a large cult. There's a cult like following behind DHC before all this happened.
You know what? Let's talk about that though, because that's another thing.
Go right ahead. All
this is Brett. DHC has done something incredible. Besides having one of the worst PR nightmares I think a furry has ever had, a furry organization, a furry brand has ever had, they have managed to create a cult based around their fursuits. And that cult has manifested itself in, at times, being super elitist and looking down on other people because they don't have a DHC fursuit. It has manifested itself in Lucky allegedly not completing fursuits for people who are overweight, obese, or even chubby. And it has manifested itself in the sense that they don't allow people who may have a DHC suit that are that way, they're not allowed to be in group photos, which is why you don't see that in group DHC group photos. Now, if you go to pretty much any other fursuit maker who has those group photos at a convention, you'll see people of varying sizes. My fursuit maker does that. We have people in the group of varying sizes, skinny, twinkish, bearish, fat, obese, whatever the term you want to use. Not so with DHC. You don't see that. And it's alleged because Lucky has an issue, probably, with obese people. I mean, they ask for your weight. What's your weight? You may say to yourself, well, why would you ask that? What's the purpose of that? Well, now you know why. So this is what happens when you allow elitism and a cult within a fandom to proliferate. And DHC had become too big to fail. They are a cult, and they have this air of elitism, and it's just really disgusting and not something that needs to be in the fandom. The fandom already has the issue with elitists as is. The fact that you want to export that to a fursuit brand and make it something like one of those luxury fursuit brands is just not right.
Oh yeah. And that's, you hit the nail right on the head. I mean, there is a large there is, of course, a feeling of quality from a DHC suit, and that's why a lot of people went for a DHC suit, because they equated DHC with quality in the furry community. And for years, Lucky and Scruff Coyote and everybody else working at DHC, they delivered on that promise to bring high quality fursuits to the fandom. And now that, and of course, that manifested into a cult, that manifested into a brand cult that made, Lucky and Scruff just ride high on the air of pretentiousness behind their fursuits and the fursuit quality. And like you said, they equated the fursuits that they make with luxury. And now that all of this is happening, DHC is just they're throwing kerosene onto their own dumpster fire, and I'm just no. You just lost. Sorry, Lucky DHC. You lost. You need to take lessons in how to market, and you got to learn that when you are brought to this level, when you think that you can do whatever you feel like because nobody will slap you down, you've got to imagine yourself that one of these days you're going to be slapped down. Even if you think you're so high up that you're not going to be slapped down, there's probably something that will hit you that high up. And being that high up, the fall is that much harder. And what you are seeing is a massive, massive fall from grace. All because somebody thought too highly of themselves and thought, I can do whatever I want. So I'm going to hang out with minors. I'm going to be inappropriate with minors. I'm going to be inappropriate with my pets. I'm going to show a lot of artwork that is very, very questionable. And nobody can do anything about it because I am lucky. Oh, God. I mean, yeah, Lucky brought this upon herself. And of course, I don't believe that. I think that this is the end of DHC. We're going to be just wait a minute, because I think after this case just like gets thrown out or rules in Cuten's favor, you're going to see another tweet that says DHC is closing. Thank you for everybody that supported blah, 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 blah. They're going to close shop because they can't survive this. And the furry fandom is going to be like, good fucking riddance. Good fucking riddance.
Now, there is a different train of thought that says DHC should just ride this out, and because furries have the attention span of a housefly, something else will pop up that takes the attention away, and they'll be fine.
No.
There is that school of thought. I don't know if...
No. Because, there were plenty of people. So the thing, though, is that you've got plenty of people that have read that dossier and know now what Lucky did, what Scruff Coyote did, and they don't want anything to do with DHC. And they're telling other people, don't do business with this company. There are way other fursuit makers who do a great job, who don't get noticed, who probably charge less for a great suit that will probably capture your persona way better, that don't have this disgusting controversy hanging above their head. Go throw your money at them. There is a massive PR campaign within the furry community to prop up these smaller fursuit makers. They don't want anything to do with DHC, and they are pushing hard to ensure that everybody is the same way, that nobody gives them the money, that nobody does anything with DHC anymore, that they are essentially written off from the furry community and not thought of again. We saw persona non grata with Lucky and Scruff. Okay, you're going to see brand non grata in DHC. Trust me, the power of public opinion in PR is incredible. And I don't see how in any way, shape, or form DHC can ride this out. I just don't. Like, this is their brand is cooked. It's done. There's no going back from this. And it's all because they decided they were going to send the CND to try to intimidate Cutans, thinking they could send this to shut Cutans up. And they are failing. They are failing miserably. There are way more furries talking about this than just Cutans, than just the first few people that were reading the dossier, that retweeted that. So this is going to be spreading like wildfire, and they have no way to no way at all. DHC is done. They don't have the capital to keep this legal fight going. They don't have the capital to keep their business going. If people keep losing or people keep dropping them, they don't have any means of pushing forth from this. They are done. Lucky and Scruff, they're done. Good luck trying to go to any convention that won't have a group of angry furries that will want to throw balloons full of paint at you, Lucky, if you step foot at any of these conventions. That's not a threat, by the way. That is not a threat. I'm just saying that the furry community is very, very angry, and they're not going to let this go. So, I mean, Lucky, Scruff, DHC, they're all done. They are all done from this. We're just waiting for them to throw in the towel and realize what they've done and how they have fucked up. Ugh. But anyway, I think we've run out of time. Yeah. So, but this has been a great episode, actually.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah. And hopefully it has been a great episode for you. If you like what you hear, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to our podcast here on YouTube. And also subscribe to our tweets on Twitter at Furry Frequency. And we'll keep you updated on our Twitter for any updates or any shenanigans that are happening. We're gaining new followers constantly, and we're glad to hear from you. Anybody who's there who are new, we're glad to have you as a listener. We're glad to have anybody as a listener. Even if you don't like us, we're glad to have you as a listener. And if you still don't like us, that means that we're living rent-free inside your head. So we're doing something right. You know what? That's a great feeling. The feeling of living rent-free in somebody's head, that is a great feeling. Believe it or not.
It is.
Believe it or not. Anyway, that's our show for tonight. This is Furry Frequencies signing off with Lifty
And Psylocke.
Thank you again for joining us, and you have a wonderful night.